right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakadash. I also want to give double honors onto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well in sincerity and charity. Peace and salutation onto the Lord's elect. I'm the brother Yosef Barak, coming at you with the lesson today in the spirit. Lord willing, I pray that it is edifying and exhorting for all those listening in, and to Wadi Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai for giving me the spirit to do this lesson today. It's going to be titled along the lines of Be Holy in Conduct. And I got inspiration from the book of First Peter, but I wanted to jump around into some other precepts as well and just come up with a lesson and, just making sure that our conduct is acceptable. There's a lot of new brothers in the faith, including myself, and, there's a certain standard in conduct that we have to walk in order to be acceptable, not only to the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai, but, to set an example to the brothers and sisters that are listening in and learning and growing in this truth, the newborns, so to speak. So this is the first precept that I have in the book of 1 Peter 1 and 22. Seeing that ye have purified your souls and obeying the truth through the Spirit unto unfeigned love of the brethren. See that ye love one another with a pure heart fervently. All right, and let's bring out that word. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Let's bring out the definition. And it says genuine and sincere. All right, so that really goes to show you that you got to be sincere in the spirit, and have sincere love for the brethren, the body around you. All right, it's very important, that we're growing within the body. This is not just for ourselves, but for the flock. Each and every brother helps further the flock towards that goal, which is the prize of salvation. All right, that brings me to the book of Ephesians 4 and 16. I do want to jump back onto that Peter. But this is Ephesians 4 and 16, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted that which every joint supplieth according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, making increase of the body onto itself, onto the edifying of itself in love. All right. So each and every person that's in this ministry, all right, is working together in unison. We have to be on sound doctrine, as the book of Amos 3 and 3 goes into, which I'm going to bring out later in this lesson. We're working together. We're using our gifts to the effectual working of the body and increasing it and helping it grow. Whether it be, you look at a body, whether it be a pinky, a fingernail, all right, something very small compared to something very big, it plays its unique role in the functioning of the body itself. All right, so whether you have a big or small role, whether you have talents that might be certain talents compared to others, you're still using those talents for the working of the ministry. And that's real love at the end of the day. That's real sincerity. All right. That's really being a true, friend of the Lord and a friend for your brothers, a faithful friend, because you're helping your brothers grow in the spirit. All right. And there's nothing more rich than that. Rubies and gold cannot buy that. All right. The love of a brother through the spirit, And what's beautiful about this too is, our brothers are scattered across all around the world, and even though we haven't met some, we got to still, try their spirits and whatnot, prove a friend first. We notice that, these brothers around the world are more, they're there for us rather than these people that are not even there and they live down the street, so to speak. This is an example that I wanted to bring out, so, those that are really doing the work of the Lord, it shows, man. You'll know them by their fruits. And this is 1 Peter 1 and 22. I'm going to bring this out one more time. Seeing that ye purified your souls and obeying the truth through the Spirit onto, unfeigned, sincere love of the brethren. See that ye love one another with a pure heart fervently, and being, loving one another with a pure heart fervently is giving diligence to make your calling and election sure, feeding the sheep. Scripture say, if ye love me, feed my sheep. So you're playing your part, as a vessel for the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai to bring out edification, exhortation, something that's pleasing to the Lord for the body, and it helps. And this is 1 Peter 1 and 15 through 16. But as he which hath called you is holy, so ye be holy in all manner of conversation. Because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. All right, so, you got to watch how you're acting, your standards, how you conduct yourself, and even how you speak. I'm speaking for myself here. There's certain things that I got to work on when it comes to speaking and conducting myself in a certain manner. Bridle your tongue. As the book of James goes into, your tongue can be very dangerous. It can be a very dangerous weapon. Scriptures say, you're able to tame animals and different beasts, but you can't tame your tongue. And that just goes to show you that you got to be very careful with how you speak. Be swift to listen, but slow to speak. And, let your words be yea or nay. Sometimes it's better to say less than to say more. So that's very important as well, because it ties into, your mannerisms and how you're, behaving in this ministry. And you want to make sure that you're doing what's holy and acceptable, unto the Lord. Let's see. This brings me to Romans 12, 1-3. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh. For I say, through the grace giving unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according to as Yahweh had dealt to every man the measure of faith. So each and every brother has different gifts, different talents, and you're not supposed to think of yourself more than what you are. The Lord gives that to you first and foremost, and he could take it away from you if he sees that you're not using it for, good, using it for wickedness and lasciviousness. With that being said, you got to be sober and vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walketh about like a roaring lion, seeking to whom he may devour. And you got to be on point. You got to be very watchful when these things are coming your way. And don't get in that spirit of pride either. But, going back to verse 1, I beseech, begging, therefore, brethren, by the mercies that the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has given us, his everlasting mercies, we got to present your body as a living sacrifice. And, that is what's acceptable unto him. That's pleasing. That's what we're called here to do. And not being conformed to this world, not being conformed to the ideologies, the philosophies, the behaviors, the actions of the way that the world acts, but be transformed. And with that comes a lot of people hating us, right? Because we're not of this world. We're just passing by, all right? And that brings me to, abstain from fleshly lust. Abstain from fleshly lust. All right, because, the world is going to hate you because they hated the Lord Yahushai first. And why? Because he was calling things out the way that they were supposed to. It's either you hate us or you love us. And the people that love us are the ones on the Lord's side. But the people that hate us are the ones on the left-hand side. And the majority of the people in the world are on the left-hand side of the Lord. They don't even know who the Lord is in his true name. They haven't even opened up a Bible. And if they're going to church and reading the Bible, they have somebody breaking it down to them completely wrong. It just shows, man, these people are blinded. The election have obtained it, but the rest were blinded. As the book of Romans 11:7 goes into. What then? Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh for the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. But this brings me to 1 Peter 2:11. Dearly beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which war against your soul. All right, so, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, rulers, spiritual wickedness in high places. That's Ephesians 6:12. All right, so you got to be, vigilant enough and see that that a lot of these things in the world that the world loves, that the world conforms to, are fleshly, are lust, and they war against your soul. That's why you're constantly battling between flesh and spirit, and you got to put your flesh into subjection in order for you to, prosper in the spirit. Guard your mind, guard your heart, be diligent. That means taking things out that you need to take out. If it means them giving you an issue, man, stay in the spirit. And this is the book of Colossians 1:10. That ye might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of Yahweh. That's giving yourself up as a living sacrifice and doing what's acceptable and pleasing to the Heavenly Father as well. And that's fruitful. You want to bear good fruit, not, low-hanging, moldy fruit. You want to bear sweet, prosperous, vibrant fruit. And you do that by seeking the Lord in truth and sincerity, man, and being on point. Making sure that you're staying watered, making sure that you're staying hydrated, so that you can blossom into that tree that has that nutrients, and you're firm and you're standing, and you're not going to be blown away during that, those storms. You have your house built on a strong foundation. It all ties in together. The amounts that you water and how you seek the Lord daily, it all ties in. It strengthens your faith. It increases your knowledge. It increases your wisdom. And that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of thy salvation. The book of Isaiah speaks about. All right, so that really shows, if you're genuine or not, how you're acting every single day, your conduct, how you are behind closed doors, not just on lessons. All right, this is the book of 1 Peter 3:8. Finally, be ye all of what mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. So, a part of, you being holy in conduct is, how you're acting around brothers, your behaviors. Are you thinking that you're prideful and you know more than them? You're trying to school them, so to speak, or are you helping them grow? And part of helping them grow is, rebuking them when necessary, being a little bit rude in speech. But when you do that, you got to build the brother back up. You can't just keep breaking him down or thinking that you're better than him, because everything is given to the Lord. All right, and the Lord's seeing how you act with, brothers that are younger, brothers that are older, whatever it may be. And a part of that, I wanted to bring out Amos 3:3 in the NLT. Can two people walk together without agreeing on the direction? All right, so you got to make sure that, first and foremost, the people that you're acting, the conduct and around the people, the brothers, the body, are the ones first and foremost that are following the same doctrine as you. All right, and we're speaking about those that are following the doctrine that the apostles and elders at Great Millstone taught us. No other doctrines, no other teachers. All right, we're not talking about no IUIC, no JOCC, no anything, man. All right, we're not talking about any of those guys. Salakia for a second, man. The cat's upstairs are fighting, trying to distract me, man. Satan right there. We're not here to just debate and to pour into people that are unable to receive it. We're speaking only about the people that are following in truth and sincerity on sound doctrine. Okay, let's make that clear. All right, and 1 Peter 3:9, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but be ye contrawise blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing. And that blessing is going to be salvation, and everything we do now is leading up to that, leading up to our transitioning from this mortal flesh that we're living in, this body where we're never obtaining rest, into that everlasting kingdom, all right, into that glory. All right, the present suffering that we go through is not going to compare to the glory that we will receive, and that glory is going to be marvelous. It's going to be magnificent. It's going to be spectacular. Words are not going to be able to describe it. All right. One more thing. This is 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject unto one another, and be clothed with humility. For Yahweh resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Exactly. So come under order. Come under order. Make sure you're learning from the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. These are the true teachers of the Bible, all right? Those that have been reincarnated and sent forth here as utensils for the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. The Lord put them here with the specific purpose of leading the sincere men, the elect, all right? And no ifs, ands, or buts, the elect. There's many elect, all right? I believe there's many of the hopeful elect that are scattered amongst these groups. I mean, we are the hopeful elect. We're hoping that we are of the elect. We don't know that we're the elect yet or not. Just tripping over my words here. We don't know if we are of the elect or not yet, but we're hoping that we are. We're putting on as the elect. We're doing what we can to show the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua that we're holy in conduct, that we're diligent, that we're really hungry, man, that we're pushing towards this goal. All right, and make sure that you're listening from the right people. Really, wear out the footsteps of thy elder, because this is where you really learn a lot. They've went through many, many things. You could read the Bible as many times as you want, but if you don't experience certain things, you don't hear somebody that's went through certain experiences, you're never going to really learn. And that goes into what I was saying earlier about, that one individual who said that he read the Bible more than 2 times back to back. All right. Doesn't matter, man, because sometimes you have to go through certain experiences in order to understand certain parts of the Bible, so to speak, and that's why we got to learn from the apostles and elders, because they went through a lot over the years. They went through a lot, man. All right. This is the last precept I want to bring out. Just a precept that came through the Spirit. James 5:16, confess your faults to one another and pray for one another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. If you look up availeth much. Actually, I'm going to bring out James 5:6. James 5:16, in the GNT. Let's see what comes out. Get this a little bit easier. All right, so then confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you will be healed. The prayer of a good person has a powerful effect. So when we're praying for brothers, when we're fasting for brothers, when we're, throwing up those prayers that they might, break certain strongholds and certain things that they're going through, or just exhorting them, through prayer, anything, man, that's positive for the Lord. The Lord doesn't let that go unnoticed. He's watching every one of those things, and he really sees that as a really good form of conduct. That's an alms, because you're giving, all right? Giving without expecting receiving anything. So just a point that I wanted to bring there as a beautiful precept, and this just goes to show, man, a couple of precepts that goes to show in being holy in conduct, just holy in how you act, and we all got stuff we got to work on, including myself here. And so Lord willing, that was edifying and exhorting to those that were listening, and I pray that it was. And Tawadi Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Once again, I want to give all glory, all honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Rakakadash. Shalom, double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well, in sincerity and truth. Peace and salutation unto the Lord's beloved elect. Once again, I'm the brother Yosef Barak. Until next time.